Welcome to Be a Voice. This is Britt Carpenter on Usula Radio. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm really excited about today's show. I have a really great guest here with me. I have somebody who is ingrained in the community, has been around Philly for quite some time, and is somebody that I've actually been following on social media and really been impressed with the voice he has on there through his design and artwork. Today I'm sitting here with Ryan Evans. Hey, Ryan.
Thank you. That was an amazing intro.
Hey, you like that?
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Right on. And you didn't have to pay me for that. That was free. That was a free plug right there. So wait until the bill comes. You'll be good. Yeah. But Ryan, thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited about this.
Me too.
So I just gave you the introduction. I gave you that plug.
Yeah.
You know, I know only what I know about you from social media and
Yeah.
from the connection that we made there. Tell my listeners, who is Ryan Evans?
Oh, man.
I know. We only have an hour.
So
though,
complicated. It's an enigma.
This is the therapy session I paid for. So
And still trying to figure it out, I guess.
yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, like the first gut thing is like just the Jersey boy, like South Jersey boy, born and bred. So like I'm from Cherry Hill, small family, kind of just growing up and realizing, struggling to determine what kind of creative I wanted to be and not really knowing what that was yet. You know what I mean?
Growing up, though, you knew you wanted to be a creative?
I kind of just knew I was like a contrarian or something.
Okay.
I just kind of felt like, oh, my brothers are into sports or these kinds of things. And I was like, how come I don't want to do these things? How come I want to be alone? How come I feel better alone? How come I feel better creating?
Oh, that's like the typical artist in the making
100%.
right there.
Yeah,
you know?
100%. It's like no one's...
Self-deprecating.
Exactly. Everyone seems to be happier with groups, and I'm doing better on my own. But
Right on.
I think I kind of started with music first, and I was just kind of making. I was very into hip hop at like an early age. My brother kind of got me into like vinyl and things like that.
Nice.
So I
you and
kind of-
Dylan, them back there, will have some
Yeah.
things to talk about. Our guy behind there, our sound engineer.
Playlist comparison.
Yeah.
And whatnot. But yeah, I kind of started there, and I was kind of making music for rappers that I was like finding online, local, and then across, and just kind of sending music out and trying to get paid for beats and things like that.
So you would just get online and you would find rappers, you find musicians, and you would just
Exactly.
reach out to them
Yep.
and say, hey.
I have this stuff. I was probably like maybe 15 or 16, and I had no idea what I was doing, and I was trying my best, and I kind of realized I like to do the stuff on my own too, so I was making my own albums, and then I started making my own album artwork. So that kind of like started with the visual stuff. Like I downloaded like a stolen version of Photoshop, so sorry about that. And I just kind of was like Googling stuff of just like how can I make my own album artwork, how can I make videos, that kind of stuff, and I started to realize I was having a lot more fun with that.
Well, this is totally like blowing my mind because what I know about you is just your design work.
Yeah.
Is just what I call the emotive design work that you do because a lot
Awesome.
of your design work is emotions.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's pretty cool. I didn't know any of this part about the music aspect
Yeah.
of it. So you really started with a passion towards music.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy, but actually, when I was deciding to go to college, I had the opportunity to either get signed to like a really independent label, very independent. Like this isn't like Geffen or anything. But it was
That's
like
all right.
it was the ability to potentially like do some live DJing, and I had to decide whether I was going to try to pursue music or go to college. And my parents were livid, and they were like, "Look, you can do both and figure it out in college." So I kind of gave up the music thing and started to do more visual stuff, which is great because I am where I am now, and I'm happy, and I have health insurance. So
There you go. That big key. You have health insurance.
Exactly.
Good for you. You're one of the minorities out there.
Yes.
then.
it's not good health insurance, but
But it is health
it's
insurance,
health
you
insurance.
know. So that means you're working, and that's
Exactly.
even better for somebody who goes into some type of art. You know,
Yeah.
whether it's music or it's print or it's paint or whatever it may be. You know, that right there in itself is a very thankless sort of career or
Absolutely.
Position to go into because you're constantly fighting to work and you're trying to find the work. So to be able to go to school because you went to school for design,
Yeah.
right? And to get out and work.
Yeah.
All right, so you decided to nix the whole music thing.
Yeah.
Mom and dad put the kibosh to that,
Yeah,
right?
Thank God, actually. But yeah.
Well, and it's funny too because I went to college. I graduated with a major in English and education and then psychology as a minor and stuff. But I wanted to go for art. And my dad was like, "Yeah, sure, that's cool. What's going to pay the
What are you
bills?"
gonna do?
Right, and like I was really offended by that. But this was back in the '80s, and he was very accurate.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful as well. So you're thankful your parents pushed you to do
Absolutely.
this.
Yeah, the tough part was too in school. I actually went to school for web design too first.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I feel like there's been so many things of
Whoa.
me like thinking I was gonna do something and then realizing, wow, I like really hate that. So like I went to the Art Institute for it was actually web design and I think just like interactive media was like is my title, I think. And I was just kind of in classes. These classes were like 5 students, maybe, very small. And I got very close with my professors. And I was kind of just saying, like, I hate doing this. I love the visual aspect. I love, like, the art direction of a website, picking color palette or, like, the emotive stuff, right? Like, trying to express myself. And then I realized when I took it into the coding and all the back end to execute it, it was not very fun.
It's a different type of personality.
Yeah.
Different type of brain, too. You know, you're working with... You know, when you're working on the back end stuff, that's more analytical.
Yep.
That's more, you know, working totally with really like the coding, the numbers, you know, when you're able to put a design aspect to it, it's such a different spin.
Totally.
That's why whenever I see people who have like these web design companies, it's so cool to see like the analytical person and the creative person, and they complement each other so well. But it's such a weird pairing.
Yeah.
It really is.
And they understand each other somehow.
They do. And it's a little weird, but you know,
like
it
you
makes
have
it
what
work.
I lack or whatever that is.
And it's a compliment. It's a total compliment. So you went for, all right, so you graduated from high school.
Yep.
You went to the Art Institute.
Yep.
Art Institute's not a bad school.
Yeah.
Gets a bad rap.
Yeah.
You know, I think any school like that, though, does because of the politics behind it.
Absolutely.
But did you get a good education?
I think so. I think the one thing that I learned, and this is kind of bad too, but that you kind of get to make your own rules, right? Like I realized I was talking to my professors and I was saying like, hey, I'm paying to go here and I don't want to do this. And they were saying like, okay, come after class and maybe we can start to talk about how to get you more in the graphic design thing. So like, trust me, like every student that was in my class hated me because they were working really hard to make websites and I was doing something completely different. And my teachers helped me get out of there with a decent enough grade point average that I looked like I had a web design degree.
Nice.
And then there was a portfolio review. And again, I'm with all these web design students, and everyone has all these great functioning websites, and basically all mine is just like a Tumblr of artwork.
So you really
know what I
strayed
mean?
off
100%.
the web
yeah,
design.
and always kind of just doubting a little bit, like, what am I doing? Like, again, I'm in a group that I don't really think I should be in. And again, I'm like manipulating or kind of changing my own experience to whatever
It was
I
like
want
that,
it to be.
you know, round peg, you know, the square peg, round hole sort of
yeah.
thing.
So
you
then,
know?
like, I'm in the portfolio review, and it actually helped me because everyone else didn't really have a visual background, and I kind of stood out on the visual sense. So then Stacy Tosland, who was the lead graphic designer for MSC Retail at the time, found me and was like, hey, we don't need any web design. Your visual stuff's great. I can fill in the blanks. Like, I can teach you whatever you don't have.
So there's that correlation though between the design, like you know, the design and the web design.
Yeah.
They need to have that. So you need to plug those two together.
Yeah.
So she was like, "Hey, don't even worry about that."
I think too because I was self-deprecating off top. I was like, I'm around all of these people. I'm not going to do this. Like I was trying to be as honest as humanly possible, and I think that kind of shook her, and she saw potential. So like I had enough design background like in my gut, but I didn't have the technical knowledge, and then she kind of just filled it in from there. And she was patient enough with me to like sit behind me and be like, "No, dummy, like it's this or whatever."
That's cool.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That's
She's
really
like
cool.
the best person ever.
So it was almost like you were walking into sort of maybe an internship that was a job.
Yeah.
You were going to be learning as
100%.
you go, and that's so amazing. So you went there right out of high school, the Art Institute?
Actually, I went to community college first.
Okay.
And I was kind of dabbling in audio engineering there.
So, okay.
And
That's
I was like,
such a big switch, audio engineering too.
And again, what a mistake. Like it was, I hated it.
Did you really?
Yeah, I loved music in a different way. Like when you come from like a hip hop background too, you're sampling a lot. You're kind of making music, and people are looking at you like you're not a real musician, right? Like you're not playing a trumpet, you're not playing guitar, you're stealing someone's music. So like. Even then, and even then, I was kind of looked down upon. Like all these guys were in bands and like wanted to learn audio engineering to record themselves for an album, and I'm sitting there being like, when can I like play around on the keyboard? Like, can someone teach me how to play piano?
So, do you think though that making the beats that you would on the equipment is any different than an instrument?
I think it's a different kind of brain, right? Like so. Learning the sampling stuff, it's funny, but it gets you to learn like a graphic interface. So like I learned like Logic Pro and stuff like that, like audio programs, but I was able to then be like, oh, this looks like Photoshop, or this looks like Illustrator. So like I kind of started at a young age like working just with interfaces. So that like always made sense to me. But then like picking up a guitar and like looking at YouTube trying to learn a chord, I could never do. So I was like, I have like a voice, but I like can't sing. You know what I mean? Like how can I try to just express myself musically somehow? And then like sampling and like it's crazy, but like Beastie Boys and like stuff like that. I was like, oh, this is it.
It's
like,
not crazy. That's great
It
music.
makes so
Come
much
on.
sense. Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
like, and
Can you read music?
No,
No.
no. And I think that I've been able to sit at a piano and convince people that I know how to play.
So you can play by ear.
Mm-hmm. A little bit.
A little bit. All right. So you definitely don't need to read the music in order to
Yeah.
do some sampling stuff.
Yeah.
You just do that.
Totally,
That's just
yeah.
freestyle. You just
Yeah.
go
And I think
do you do that anymore?
I haven't in a while. I think probably like this is funny, like the last album I made was probably like a couple years ago, and that one was all house recordings. So
Really?
like, yeah, my girlfriend and I moved into our place in Collingswood, and I was like, this is the first time we're living on our own, and I love this house, and I like fell in love with it. So I kind of like went around just recording like door creaks. It's a very old house, and like turning faucets and all this kind of stuff, and then I would sample that. So like that's how I was trying to show people like I'm an intellect, like I know what I'm doing, kind of. Maybe I can't play guitar, but like here's like a high concept of
Right.
some kind, you know.
How many albums did you put together? And
I think like solo ones probably like 8.
really, really, do you still have them all?
Oh yeah, they're all still online.
Yeah?
All that good stuff. SoundCloud, yeah.
So people could find these out there if they
totally,
wanted to.
yeah.
What would they have to search for?
I think like Ryan Evans music or something.
Ryan Evans
like that.
music.
Yeah.
Right. You keep it real basic, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
You keep it Ryan Evans music, which translates over to Ryan Evans design.
Yes,
I love
always.
it. I love it.
I think when I started making music too, like everyone's like, you need a moniker, man. Like you can't like walk in there like Ryan Evans. Like no one really wants to like say that. Like a rapper doesn't want to say like Ryan Evans made the beat. Like sounds pretty boring. And I was like, oh, but then like no one's gonna know it's me though.
And you can't really like take it as like Ryan Evans music and do REM. That's already taken.
Yes, exactly.
So,
Yep.
So Cherry Hill. So when you're growing up, you're growing up in Cherry Hill.
Yeah.
Right across the bridge.
Yep.
So when people ask where you're from, did you tell them you're from Philly?
No.
No.
Never.
No.
No, because I think I've always had people be like, that's not the city. Or like, but then like people are like, oh, you're from Jersey, and like they do the Jersey Shore thing, right? And I'm like, no, it's Southern Jersey, like it's its own thing.
Do you know how many people don't realize what Southern or where Southern Jersey is?
Always.
Like don't understand
like,
the whole
stop. Yeah.
Like Salem County, like nobody even knows it exists, or like it's across the Commodore Barry Bridge, and people are like, the what bridge?
Yeah.
You know, the bridge that's down there, forget it,
Yeah.
I don't even know if I ever drove across that bridge in all my life, Yeah.
And I just think it's weird, like South Jersey people have like a weird pride where they're like, yeah, like we love Philly and we love Phillies, we love the Eagles, we love all that good stuff, and like we steal from Philly all the time, like we steal verbiage and all that great stuff. But then like we try to pretend that we're our own thing.
Well, let's look at it this way. Whenever I talk to somebody and I say, where are you from? They'll say South Jersey.
Yeah.
They'll never just say I'm from Jersey or
yeah.
New Jersey. I'm from South Jersey.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I think there's that whole, because Jersey is one of those states that is just so weird to begin with, that North Jersey is so different than South Jersey.
God, yeah.
Then everything in between is just like, whoa.
What is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost like Pennsylvania.
Yep.
A little bit,
Yep.
but on a different level. But it's funny. I see a lot of people who lived in South Jersey or grew up in South Jersey. They moved to Philly, and a lot of people from Philly move to South Jersey when
Yeah.
they become adults.
Mhm.
And it's cool to see that happen. I joke around all the time. I always say I can't make it into Jersey today. I can't find my passport. And it's like, but Jersey, it's one of those places that people will say I'm from Philly. Oh, what part? Oh, Cherry Hill.
Yeah,
oh, you're
it's
from
like, come
Jersey.
on.
Yeah.
That's nuts. That's nuts. I'll find out who's doing that, and I'll stop that.
Exactly. Put an end to that madness
And even
right
Cherry
away.
Hill is so big. Like like Cherry Hill's regional, and like there's west and east. So like I'm from the west side, and like there's people who, if you say you're from Cherry Hill, they're like, oh, what side are you from? And that's like a
okay.
weird thing. Where like west side, this is not at all true, but people from the west side are like, oh yeah, we're like the real people. We're, like,
So
we're the
is
salt
west
of the
side
earth.
near like the Willingboro, Pennsauken area?
Kind of, yeah.
Mhm.
And then like east side, I don't even know. We don't even go over there that often. To be honest.
Such a big
Yeah,
big
and
distance.
there was a high school rivalry.
Because
too.
there is east and west over there,
Mhm.
so high school rivalry.
Exactly.
All right. Well, see, that's even
A lot of pride.
A lot of pride. Hey, South Jersey pride, just sort of like Philly. Philly
Exactly.
pride,
We get it,
People
yeah.
in Philly, they take pride by their neighborhoods
100%.
and where they're from. And when you ask somebody where you're from, they'll give you that part of, oh, I'm from South Philly.
Yeah.
I'm from Fishtown.
Yep.
I'm from Fairmount. You know, it's not just like I'm from Philly, because the next question after that is, what part?
What part?
Yeah. So people take that pride.
Yeah, I love it.
Absolutely. Do you ever think about moving over into Philly?
Yeah, all the time.
Really?
My girlfriend and I were messing around with it when I was transitioning from my first job to my second job, and it's just we've gotten to the point where it's like we feel like there's a pressure to move here because all of our friends are here and all that stuff. But then I'm like, well, but why am I doing it? Like I'm here probably 50% of the time anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like school's here, work was here. I come here for fun, so it's just like I'm kind of like saving money doing my thing. Like why mix it up? But I don't know. I'll probably end up moving here. I can't help it.
Yeah. There's an attraction to Philly.
I love
man.
it.
Come on.
Yeah.
This city, there's energy.
I'll feel like a big boy.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like. It's like I haven't made the step up yet.
You let me know what that is.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. So you got out of college.
Yeah.
You had this degree in design.
Yeah.
What did you do?
So I instantly started working at MSC Retail.
Which MSC is a big company.
I think it was probably one of the best jobs that I've ever had, just because it made me have to work so quick. Like I was doing, I don't know, probably like 20 maps a day. Like I kind of learned like the area, because you have to figure out where certain retailers are going, competition, all that good stuff. And it was great, because you always had like little inside tips of like, oh, this coffee shop's coming here, or like, oh, hey, Jersey's getting a Shake Shack. Or
So you were doing logistics then for them as well.
Totally.
Because MSC is basically one of the major leasing of retail space here in Philadelphia.
Yep.
Anybody who walks down any street in Philly and sees that big MSC with that half circle swoop or whatever it is through it, and their signs aren't small.
Yeah, huge.
They're huge.
I was doing way too many of those. It was a nightmare. Yeah.
So that was you.
It was everything. So it was like any type of branding thing. There was like booklets for clients. It was like maps. I can't even.
So all
keep
marketing,
track. Everything.
all point of purchase
Yeah,
stuff.
and it was the best. And it was just like hey, we don't have a YouTube. Do you want to pitch videos? Sure. Hey, we're doing this thing. Like there was so much freedom. It was just like, hey, it's just you and Stacy. Do your thing. Do whatever you want.
So you really had your own to write your own ticket.
Totally.
That's amazing.
It was great.
Are you a photographer at all?
No, but
Okay.
I had to dabble a little bit.
I was wondering, because a lot of times like that, because you didn't mention photography at all.
Yeah.
You know, as a creative, people who are photographers are very proud of that.
100%.
And it's so. How was that?
I think
type
that's
of thing?
why I don't say that I do it, because I've met photographers and I'm like, hey, like I point and shoot, but I'm not doing the stuff you guys are doing. You know. You grow to respect it, but also when you're in a graphic design role and like you're the only person, you have to do everything. It's like hey, our website's broken, figure out that, and it's like I don't know how to design this, but I guess I'll figure it out, you know. And at the time it was hard, but I love it, because that's the kind of stuff where you thrive. Like you learn all these different pieces, and then you go home and you're like, oh wait, I can make a whole music video by myself, or I can do whatever. Like all these little things kind of build so that you can make bigger projects on your own. But I loved it. It was probably one of like best experiences ever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did your brain ever shut down?
100%.
Yeah.
I think the main tough part about the job was just, to be honest, communicating with so many different people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I have to do the same job, but I'm sitting with one broker here, and then they get up and I have to sit with another broker, and like each personality type was hard to work with, but also like I just get overwhelmed with. I've used up all my people points today. Like I'm done. You know what I mean?
Not just that. You said it right there. When you're dealing with so many different personalities, you yourself have to adapt.
Yeah.
And that's a very daunting task in the end,
Makes you
especially
feel like you're nuts.
Especially for somebody like yourself who wanted to be by themselves and work by themselves,
Yep.
let alone deal with these personalities that probably you may want to reach across the table and smack them.
Yeah, a lot. Or like, and I loved those people. Like those were actually the people I loved the most. Because I'm like, oh man, you're so nuts. But like, but you're making me stronger. Like that's what I was trying to think. You know what I mean? Like you walk in every day like with a suit of armor, and like someone says something to you, and that's a little bit of acid getting that suit of armor off. But like, it just made me tougher. 100%.
So how long were you there?
I think maybe 3 or 4 years. So I was getting there, and I was kind of just seeing like, hey, like they didn't really have enough system to kind of get me to grow. Like I was kind of doing all of it, but I just wanted a different role. Like what you start to realize is like, hey, like I'm directing this stuff. Like I'm art directing this stuff. Like I just want that to grow with me. So I was just kind of seeing that I couldn't really do that there, and they're still doing amazing. They actually did a whole entire rebrand when I was gone, so I was like so jealous of that.
Oh, wow.
I was like, come on. Like, I was just here like a week ago, and you guys like redid all this stuff, but they're doing great. And And I think I just saw, too, that I wanted something a little more focused. MSC was tough. It was fun for this reason, but it was like, oh, you have to make a brochure for a coffee client, and then you have to make a brochure for a hotel client. And it kind of just, it made me a little like bipolar almost. I was like, I don't know how to keep, So I kind of just wanted something a little more focused, and that's when I saw that there was an opportunity at Boyd's.
So you are now working for Boyd's.
Yeah.
And for anybody who doesn't know what Boyd's is in Philly, well, shame on you, because Boyd's really is just a really common name, almost, like Ralph's.
Yeah.
But on a clothing retailer side.
Absolutely.
What is Boyd's?
Oh, man.
How would you describe it?
I would say...
Make them proud.
Yeah, just like family owned and operated, and like I think the one thing that they do really well, like, look, it's high fashion, yes, it's expensive, really high price point, but at the same time, it's like they're putting more pressure, or what's more important to the brand is the people in the store.
Mm-hmm.
So like the salespeople are what's really important, and those people are the warmest, kindest people on earth, and they want to take care of you like you're a family member to them.
So is Boyd's their own clothing line?
I think they have their own suiting. This is actually interesting.
Their own suits.
Yeah, but it's branded as something else. It's actually branded as Trissini.
Okay.
It's like one of their own brands. It's they get all the same suiting stuff from over in Italy and all that kind of stuff. And I actually had the opportunity to rebrand them too.
Really?
Yeah, so that's really cool. It's like we get to do this whole entire thing. Like I made the logo for them, all that stuff. It's like they are our brand, but we don't advertise them as our brand, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, absolutely makes sense.
Like they're on rack next to everybody else.
Right, I got you. So Boyd's is known.
Yeah.
Boyd's is definitely known here in
a lot
Philly.
of pressure, for sure.
How many years has it been around?
Ooh, I think like 85.
I'd say 80-some?
Yeah.
It's a long time, and it's family-owned still.
Absolutely.
After 85 years, still family-owned.
Mm-hmm.
That says something about that brand.
Absolutely.
Because most families at this point in time, the people don't want to continue in the family name.
Yeah.
They'd probably rather sell and make
Or
the money.
veer off and do their own thing.
Absolutely.
And not keep building upon it.
So,
yeah.
Is the family in there working?
Yeah, absolutely. Kent Gushner's in there every day. He's the one running everything, and then his son Alex is in there, and his son's a men's buyer, so he's like going over to Italy, learning all that kind of good stuff, and bringing that knowledge in. It's awesome. It's really cool.
That's it. And that building we talked about, like I said, it's funny. As for
Yeah.
as long as I've known Philly, and which is forever, of course, because I'm born and raised the area. I've walked by it hundreds and hundreds of times, never realizing it was right there on Chestnut Street.
Yeah.
And it is. It's right there. Very unassuming.
Yeah.
Very unassuming.
Absolutely.
Old building, right?
Yeah. Like you just see really like ornate columns like everywhere, and just all the like crown molding everywhere and all that good stuff. And then they just a couple years ago just finished the women's department there on the ground floor. So that's like all the new
So
revamp.
Boyd's is now carrying women's clothing as well, which is totally
right when you walk in the door too, and that's like a pretty big message. I like
Smart.
love that. Yeah.
That's smart.
Like it's like saying not only women's, but like women's first. Like that's kind of the brand. It's like whenever we're designing emails or designing brand books, it's like we're putting women first, because everyone knows Boyd's for Boyd's. Like we're trying to shake the men's club thing. Like it used to be, you go in there, you get a cigar, and you have like a whiskey, you get your suit, and you get out.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
You can still do it if you want. Yeah.
Really? They have whiskey there for people when they come and get tailored?
Absolutely.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Champagne. Whole
Cigars?
thing.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Do it up.
Really?
I'll be upstairs working, but you do it up.
Yeah. You can smell the wafts of it up there. Whoa. So tell me, what would a suit at Boyd's cost me to get, personalized for myself?
Wow. I don't have one yet, so that's saying something. I have a discount, and I still don't have one yet. Yeah, it all depends. There's like suits in there, like, so the Trissini brand is like very out of the gate, like first suit. Like you can probably get in there for maybe $2,400.
Yeah. You're talking to
and
the
it's
guy,
tailored.
You're
and
talking
it's
to
like,
the guy that goes to Kohl's and gets like the jackets on sale.
So this is the thing that's tough for me, is like I'm working on this brand and all that stuff, but me personally, that's me. You can buy a $100 suit, you just get it tailored. And I think, but the big part of their business is tailoring.
Right.
So like they are, if you want to bring in your suit from wherever, they'll make it feel like the $2,400 suit.
Well, I'm going to say, I think you said it right there where, for you, that $100 suit is perfect. For me, that's perfect. But there are people out there that can afford to get that Boyd suit or that Trissini brand suit. And good for them, because that's what they want to wear. Yeah. Me personally, I don't.
Me neither.
No. I'd actually rather spend that money on traveling or on food.
Food, 100%.
Food.
100%. I've definitely gotten like more into clothes working there. Because again, it's just like it's the visual medium, it's expressing yourself no matter what. Like it's everything. Art is everything. It can be anywhere.
So now you're in the design department there.
Yeah.
And you're doing graphic design work?
Yeah, pretty much everything for branding. I'm the, again, only designer. So
In the entire
yeah,
store. Entire,
signage, like billboards, like anything digital, anything print.
it's all
So,
you.
Yeah.
So
busy all
anytime
day.
somebody sees anything for Boyd's,
Yeah.
this is Ryan Evans'
Yep.
design, who's done it for Boyd's.
100% my fault. If
And-
you're mad, you can email me.
And how
It's
many
completely
years have
fine.
you been there?
Now, I think 3.
That speaks volumes to who you are then, Ryan.
Yeah.
To know that you're with this family-owned and operated store for over 80 years,
Yeah.
and you're the only designer, and they put their trust and faith in you to do it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Again, like
should
so
give
much
you a
freedom. Yeah, I think I will. I think we can do that. We'll send them this link, and I think we can
We're
get
gonna, we're gonna send them this link. We're gonna tell them how many times we mentioned their name.
Yep.
Because Lord knows they need that advertising
we
from
should
me.
all get seats. But again,
just
it's just
once. I'll put your name on it.
the thing that's hard. Look, everyone says like, "Oh, you're the only designer. It's really hard. Like, it's a lot of work." But at the same time, it comes with all that freedom, which is the best thing in the world. Like, you do have freedom. You can shoot your shot, and you can fail, and it's not as intimidating.
So, do you have a lot of freedom in what you're doing there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So you can work.
It's definitely listening to a lot of other opinions and trying to execute what they want to, but a lot of freedom, for sure.
That is the type of job that I love. The type
Yeah.
of job where you're able to like call the shots.
It's a little
have some
intimidating.
freedom.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, it just shows you the type of respect level you have in the position that you're in.
I hope so.
So back to your college days where you were like, hey, screw this coding aspect. I don't want to do this. I want to do the design part of it.
Yep.
You focused on that, and you ended up at one of the leading, family-owned retailers, actually probably in the country.
Yeah.
When you look at it, Boyd's isn't just Philly known.
Yeah,
Boyd's is known.
absolutely.
And Boyd's is like doing some really cool things.
Yeah.
They're really doing some stuff. Like I talked to you prior to starting this, like about I was invited to the Kid Saldine mural, which was
absolutely.
really cool.
Yeah.
What was that about?
So that was like an amazing partnership. I think someone within the store, her name's Missy Dietz. She has a relationship with King. It's funny to call
King.
him that, but like
I
I was
said
emailing him
Kid,
back and
didn't I?
forth.
King.
Yeah.
King,
I'd
sorry.
be like, "Hey King, how are you?"
So that's his name, King.
Yeah. That's what he goes by. One of like the coolest guys probably I've ever met.
Right
ever.
on.
Yeah, so nice. But he was kind of pitching. He wanted to do something with us. He loved the idea of potentially using. We have a lot of old advertisements, so throughout the years, that are just from 19 who knows when, all through in the book. And he was just having this idea of like, I would love to use these, but kind of turn them into something else. And it's kind of just expressing like who we are as a brand now, right? And it's cool. I actually had the opportunity to, if you go to, I think it's the 3rd floor in our store, I had the opportunity to do a mural in there. So if you go in next time, on the ceiling, there's like this roundabout like rotunda, and all on the inside are all these old ads. All throughout, and then I did it on the columns and on the elevators, and it's really cool. You can kind of go through and see all the old ads, but then you can also see the pictures of the new guys in there.
That's
too.
cool. So you just sort of showed the transition
Yeah,
over the years.
it's awesome. It's really
That's
cool.
amazing.
So then he kind of saw that, and he was like, "Oh wow, like I would love to do something similar." So he took that and kind of did his thing, painting on top, and then that became a billboard. And then I think it also became like a T-shirt collaboration. And I think right now he's selling canvases in the store. And they just they're benefiting a school that he graduated from, and now I'm like blanking on the school.
That's all right. And the mural's still outside, isn't it, on the wall?
We just took it down.
Did you?
Of course, we
I
had to take
think-
it down for sale stuff, but
Of course. But it was out there for the longest time.
Long
It was,
time.
Yeah, for a
Long
long
time.
time. So that works. You
Yeah.
know, what a great thing to do. You got to work with some really cool people then.
yeah, absolutely. It was cool to learn from him too, because again, like I could kind of learn how he's doing his artist thing, his freelance thing, the team he's building around himself, and I was kind of seeing how he was doing his thing, when his manager would talk, when his manager wouldn't talk, and I was like, okay, this is cool. I need to learn from this a little bit. Maybe get my own manager or something.
Right
Get my
on.
manager a suit, not me.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Maybe that's the
guy
move.
who's supposed to wear the suit,
Yeah,
right? The
yeah.
artists aren't supposed to wear the suits.
Exactly.
So this is actually pretty cool because I'm peeling these layers back, and I'm finding out more. This is totally taking me for a loop for what I know you for.
Yeah.
Or for what I've sort of, been fanboying over you for this longest time because, where was it Track Take? Was it?
Oh, the track takeover stuff.
Track Takeover.
Yeah.
This is where I first learned
Oh,
about
awesome.
you and your work.
Oh.
I was invited by Brendan Lowry and the creative
Yeah.
team who did Track Takeover.
Cool.
To that night where it was freezing cold on a Sunday or was it Monday night.
To premiere the...
You had to premiere
Yeah.
it. And I remember just, yours, the words were just simple but powerful.
Awesome.
And I connected with so many awesome artists that evening that I've actually had some on here.
Yeah.
Like I've had Saeed Ferguson on here.
Oh, he's so talented.
He's so talented. I
Cool guy.
wanted him to get his piece on the side of my nonprofit van. We talked about that. So
Yeah.
cool. But also then, like, I came across you, and I came across the words. And what did for the track takeover? For those who don't know, tell everybody what it was.
Yeah, really. I think Brendan had the opportunity to fill empty billboard space. So, like in the interim periods, he had the opportunity to just throw artists up in there. So I think it's even going on now that anytime that there's an empty billboard spot, one of us fills it, and it's just out of the existing group of artists. I think there's like maybe like 15 or so.
There was how many? 33?
Yeah,
Something
I
like
forget
that?
how many.
Yeah, there was a lot.
It was cool.
Yeah,
it was
very
really,
cool.
and everyone was different, which I loved.
Some were just words, some were
Yeah.
designs, some were photographs.
And you walked through the station, it felt like a gallery almost,
did.
and that's what he wanted to do.
It was nice. He curated it very
Brilliant guy. So that was that, and I
well. To
think
mention, he's on my board of directors for a nonprofit too.
and it's funny. Most of the people were invited, and then I had a friend actually at Boyd's who was like, "You should send your stuff into this. Like, you could be," because it actually started with trash cans, I think first.
It was a trash can takeover, yeah.
Yeah, and
They
she
were
was like,
going
"Oh,
against
they're
Gary
doing this
Barbera.
again. Like, you could be on a trash can. That's so awesome." And I applied, and I think I heard back in like a day, and they were like, "Yeah, just send it whenever." And it was actually bigger than the trash can this time. So I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is insane."
More eye-catching because more people were
Yeah.
more apt to stand there and look at the billboards
Yeah.
in the station than they were as they're walking by a trash can on
Absolutely.
the street. So what was your billboard?
So I kind of went with just let yourself be happy. I was kind of thinking in my head, like when I'm coming over from the train and I'm about to go to work, and sometimes you're not in the mood, or sometimes you're like kind of fighting the fact that you have to go to work, and it's like happiness is a choice a lot of the times, or it's like it's a mind frame.
Oh,
Like,
it is.
I know a lot of the time where it's just a shift of perspective. So it's like it's allowing yourself to be okay, or just being content. I think at first I was like, let yourself be content. And I actually asked my girlfriend, and she was like, "No, let yourself be happy." It's because it's more simple.
Very simple.
Yeah.
Keep it simple for
Yeah.
everybody. And what colors was it? Was it
Lots of yellow.
yeah, it was a bright. It was a happy
Yeah.
color. There
Absolutely,
you go.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. So as we're talking about it, then let's peel this layer back. How did you get started with Ryan Evans Design? I know what it is, but
Yeah.
now I'm talking about like your personal artwork, your
Yeah.
messages you put out there. It's really it's like I said, it's your message to people. So how did you get started with this? I call them your emotive work.
I love that.
Tell me about it.
I think it really started, I was working at Boyd's a lot, and I was getting to do a lot of creative direction and more visual stuff. And what happens whenever I start a new job is I have this weird built-up passion where, like, you can't turn it off. So it's like you're working all day, and then you're like, oh, but I'm not doing, like, fun stuff, really. I'm still doing what they want me to do. So I went home, and I kind of just exploded just making as much stuff as possible. And I had this thing where I kind of felt like Boyd's, the challenge is like you're making a brand system, all these kind of things. They can kind of be rigid, they can kind of be cold.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to make something that kind of felt like almost like a love letter, right? Like it's something like ephemeral, real. Like the thing with Instagram or like a lot of these pieces, it's like we're putting stuff up all day, but it doesn't feel like a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to create something that felt real. So I started working with like scraps of paper and kind of just working with scans.
It reminds me a lot of times of really just fifth grade arts and crafts with construction paper and the cards you would make for your mom or your significant other
100%.
or whatever it is. So when I see it sometimes, it just brings me back to like simpler times.
It's
your
funny
stuff.
that you say that too, because now something's clicking in my head. But I love hearing what people think about the work, because then it just gets me to go inside my head, and I'm like, yeah, that definitely makes sense. Because I used to do that. I would do
Really?
that like for my family. You know, I do that for like my mom and I are very big Post-it people.
Okay.
So
Love
like,
'em.
look, I wake up in the morning and like, look, my mom wasn't home, and she would leave me a little note. Hey, I'm gonna be home at 4. Love you. Something in the kitchen, right? And like, I got to a point where I would put them on my wall because I was like, oh, this is great, and it would just be a silly note.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it might come from that. I think it comes from
Very
just
cool.
like you're leaving something for someone else, and it's like it might seem like a small thing, but the amount of like thought and like love you're putting into it is more than what it is, you know?
So if anybody wants to find out, they can go to Ryan Evans Design.
Yep, RyanEvansDesigns.com.
Designs.com. And then on Instagram, you're
Rydeas.
Rydeas, which is
RYDEA.
a genius. It's Ryan's ideas.
That was actually my
together.
buddy Jared that came up
Nice.
with that. Yeah.
So let's talk about your Instagram platform is awesome.
Thank you.
You put things on there that sometimes I look at it and I'm wondering, he added horns to her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Wonder where that comes from. So
Sure.
where does some of this stuff come from? What makes you tick there?
I think the visual language like that I'm always trying to like keep in my head is like I'm obsessed with visual graphics from the 90s and also like from the 70s. I think like those are like the two best like periods
Obvious.
visually. 90s one because it's just what I grew up in, and also like I just feel like that's very present now. It's kind of like coming back a little bit. And then 70s is more just like I think that's my parents' influence, whether it's just like music or things. I was always inspired by like bands they would show me, and you would see band T-shirts and stuff, and they all kind of have similar ways of speaking. Almost like even tattoo culture, whether it's like using skulls or a devil or whatever, and it's all of these things. But I think what I like about them is that they're hard, and they've always been used to express something hard or intimidating, and I'm trying to maybe soften them, or I'm trying to make it seem cool to express yourself in a more like sensitive way. Like it's okay to be sad, or it's okay to express yourself like you're still like a badass dude, you're still a badass woman, whatever.
It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to emote yourself.
Exactly.
It's okay to have feelings.
Absolutely.
And coming from a masculine, a male perspective,
Yeah.
you know, it's sort of unheard of.
Yeah.
You know, because right away people start to like, oh, you know, who's this guy who's putting these feelings out there that,
Yeah.
you know, but it's weird, you know, those feelings speak to me. So if they're speaking to me, they're speaking to volumes of other people as well.
Absolutely,
So do you
yeah.
get a good feedback from people?
I do. I think that's the main thing that I've kept going. That's the main reason. And it's because like it's hard when you keep going and like you just kind of see people liking your stuff or whatever. You're like, why am I doing this? But then like every so often someone might pop up and be like, wow, this is like I was thinking this all week. How'd you do this in one sentence? Or like this is something that I'm dealing with, and that's why you keep going. And or you even use those things to inform what you're making later. And being like, wow, I never thought about that feeling. I want to express that for that person.
So if I go through your gallery on Instagram of what you do, you know, your art, because that's your art, your artwork, and, you know, your messages, are those messages usually coming from you at that point in time, something you're going through, your personal feelings?
Yeah, most of the time it's like a note for me. Like that's what I like to like. It's like, hey, you're not feeling that well. If it's something a little more positive, if it's a little more like coachy, that's for me. It's like it's something to like get me a little more psyched up. It's like almost the voice in the back of my head.
Or one of the voices.
Yeah, exactly. Being like, you're doing all right, bud. It's okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
Very cool. I've come to realize that anybody that has a creative mind has more than just two voices.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of voices
Yeah,
that, you know, right
fighting.
there. So when you have, you know, when you have these feelings or you have these thoughts and you put them, you know, down and you into design work and everything like that, does that help you get through what you're going through
Absolutely.
as well?
Yeah, I think you're talking about the grid. Like that's like the one thing like I look at and I'm like, hey, look, like this month I was like pretty down, or like this month, oh wow, these are like a little more positive or whatever, and you can kind of just see how you're growing. I also think it's actually been harder for me to make some pieces recently because I've actually been a little more content. I've just been like, oh, this is great. And then sometimes those are actually ones that don't connect with people.
Damn, I don't want to make a happy piece
Yeah,
today.
it's the struggle. It's like, oh man, I don't want to get that much better because I won't make anything, you know? But it'll always just keep changing. But yeah, it's good. Sometimes it's harmful to be that in your head. I think sometimes I'm like, wow, like sometimes I'm in here too much. And I'm like I'm almost putting myself under a magnifying glass a little too much.
Oh, absolutely. I get that.
But for the most part, I think it's making me happier for sure. I feel like I'm doing what I should be doing.
Awesome.
You know?
I love it. So you're pursuing your passion.
Yeah.
Which not many people do nowadays.
Yeah.
And you seem very content about
Yeah.
it. You know.
It seems like this is silly, but like I feel like I'm being rewarded for it.
Yeah.
You know? Like I have people who are reaching out, being like, "Hey, like this opportunity here." You know, like I would never think anyone would want to talk to me about this stuff, and then having the ability to talk about it, it's like all I want to do anyway. And my girlfriend's very sick of it. You know what I mean? Like she doesn't want to talk about it all the time. Or like, "Hey, look, what do you think about this one versus this one?" Or like yellow versus red, and it's just like enough. Like she's glad that there's other people I can talk to about it.
And she has a name. What's your girlfriend's name?
Monica. Monica Lynch, yeah. She's the best.
How many? You have to say that because she's in here with us.
Yes. I'm probably gonna mess this up, but we've been together for over 10 years.
Almost 10, almost 13
Yeah,
years.
we've been together since we were like 16.
Oh, that's awesome.
So she's been with me through it all.
Through it all.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And she's always kind of been like, look, you got to keep going. Like she sees when I'm happiest and she sees when I'm down. And normally when I'm down, it's when I'm not making something.
Okay.
You
so
know?
and you know, and most people who are in art, you know, they have abuse of some part of some point or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's your muse.
Absolutely.
She helps to get you
Absolutely.
where you gotta go.
Yeah.
And most of the art you put out though is really for yourself.
Yeah.
So you're making your art for yourself.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Absolutely.
You're not making it for others, but yet it speaks to other people.
Yeah, and it's actually opened up too to like the freelance stuff where like someone's like, hey, I have a t-shirt, you want to make me a t-shirt? And then it's like I get to use this like visual language that I've made to express myself, but for them too. So that's been really fun too. It's like people are like, I love the ripped paper thing you're doing. You have to do it here. And I'm like, wow, people want this for their thing? That's crazy to me.
Well, like I said, it reminds you of a simpler time. It reminds you when you
Yeah.
were younger, where it wasn't as, so wowing. You didn't have to like everything perfect.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about your messages, that most of your messages are telling people you don't have to be perfect
Right.
to be good at what you do.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's okay to not be okay.
That's the coolest stuff. I think when I look at something and I see that it's too pristine or too perfect, I'm like, oh, how do I rip this so that, like, how do I destroy it so that it's not perfect anymore?
So, if I could tell you to think back to all, and of course I'm scrolling through your feed now, and I love your
Yeah.
feed because it's just so clean, and the white background, of
Thank
course,
you,
is awesome,
thank
and
you.
the colors. What is there anyone that stands out in your mind that you would say, yes, this is my favorite?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I have a few. Most of them, my favorite are always the ones that kind of have like a tinge of anger to them. I definitely find myself like having some type of anger problem. I don't know what it is, but it's just like whether it's frustration or like finding myself getting angry too quickly and kind of finding out what that anger is. So like one of my favorite pieces, it's a German Shepherd head, and it's barking very aggressively. And then I ripped through a bunch of different pieces of paper and layered them. And then very small, it says, "Please love me," in between. And that was
Ooh, I
one
love
where I
it.
was like, when I made it, I was like, oh yeah, you're pretty smart, man.
I like
and
that
then, and I
one.
feel like that was one that actually did like pretty well. People really responded to that one, and that's one that I go back to where I'm like, that's like how I would represent even me as a person, like that piece. And I think it helped a lot of people realize like, oh wait, my boss is yelling at me. Why? Or you know what I mean? You kind of start to understand where anger comes from.
So I want to go back then to the horns, because that's it's a dominant thing in a lot of your messages,
Yeah.
especially with the women. And it's funny because it takes you back to like those 50s and 60s television
Yes.
ads.
Yep. I love that
the
stuff.
June Cleaver
I love
looking
it.
mother, and then you add some. Where does that come from?
So I think it comes from. It probably comes from my mom. I think my mom on paper seems like a very traditional like housewife,
Yeah,
1950s,
yeah.
whatever. But she's like probably one of the most badass people like on this earth. And I think when you see like my father and her next to each other, my father seems like very strong and seems like maybe he's like the alpha persona or whatever.
Mhm.
But like who's really running that is my mom.
They usually do.
Yeah.
Let's face it.
And I found like I have a very similar dynamic in my own relationship that like someone who maybe on paper might seem a little more timid or shy, no, like she's running the show and she's corralling the person who has too much aggressive energy. You know what I mean?
So are those pictures then in relation to like Monica? Do you really?
I think so. I think, and just like how I view women in general, like
Okay.
I think a lot of women in my life, huge influences. Like right out of college too, I had Stacy, who was
Mhm.
working at MSC. Very similar persona, like someone who's quiet, but when she needs to turn it on, she turns it on. And
So I love it. You're talking about these women. You're empowering them through these pictures.
Absolutely.
With, that horn isn't a negative. Like oh, you're the
No.
devil. It's like saying
It's a
you're
strength.
badass.
Yep.
You're powerful.
absolutely.
You're not that cutesy looking. Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
That you peel those layers back, and you got
Absolutely.
some toughness there.
And I think normally when I depict men, it's normally as like monsters. I've started
Really?
to realize, yeah. I like to play with like Frankenstein or like vampires or like things like that, just because like that is kind of like how I see myself sometimes, like a little.
I
bit
remember
of a
the Dancing
beast.
Bears.
Yeah.
You're a Dancing Bear fan?
Yeah, of
Grateful
course.
Dead?
Yeah, so my
Okay.
mom, huge Grateful Dead fan, and then my brother is like die-hard Grateful Dead.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So like that imagery, like when I was younger, I didn't really know what it was. Like I would go into my brother's room and there would be like these skulls everywhere and dancing bears, and I'm like, I don't know what he's doing
What is
in
this
here.
stuff?
I'm just like, it's cool. I don't get it. Why does he have a stuffed bear on his bed? But yeah, that. I think Grateful Dead imagery is like probably the most. Again, that's coming back around now, obviously.
Absolutely. I don't think that's ever gone away.
Yeah.
But
It's
I
just
gotta-
more people being added to it.
I love it. I'm looking at some of these here. Like, one, I think, of course, let yourself be happy. Once again, that's the,
Yeah.
it,
That's a tough one for me to do.
but it's so simple. It's
Yeah.
such a simple message. It's something that we should all sort of, look at on a daily basis. And you talk about things like even like your one message here is self-realization.
Yeah.
You know, it's so many things that people know that there is there, but you don't think about.
Yeah.
Why'd you do that one?
I don't know. I think I'm really obsessed with that, to be honest. I'm obsessed with like always looking, how am I affecting someone else? How, like, I just, it's a problem actually, like getting that insular on yourself. But I'm always just kind of looking what can I do that can affect others, and what can I do, how can I just improve myself always, emotionally or intellectually, whatever it is.
And you got to think about that. You got to think about those ways that you're going to like stimulate and improve and be able to reach out to others. And your work does that. Your work speaks volumes. You know, it does
Thank
to
you.
me. I repost it on my story feed when I find
Thank
one.
you.
And it's funny
Yeah.
because I think, you know, you're right. When people say to you they're going through similar things, I think, you know, that's very true with, I think it's almost like your astrology sign.
Sure.
You know, when somebody reads the horoscope, they're like, that's dead on what's happening in my
Yes.
life.
You're seeing it with your tint.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're actually applying it to what's happening,
Mhm.
and you're like, whoa, that speaks to me.
Yeah.
So you ever do T-shirts?
I have.
You
Yeah.
have?
I've done some for other companies and stuff. I've done like freelance ones. I've sold some on my own. It's tough to sell stuff, to be honest.
Right.
And also like my brain does
Unless
a
it's
thing.
your full time.
Yeah, and when I'm making shirts or like physical items, I kind of feel like I'm not being as sustainable. Like I'm like, oh man, I'm just like creating another shirt out in the world. You know what I
Oh,
mean? It
yeah.
kind of it's tough. It's something that I'm dealing with a lot.
No, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
You're actually you're almost not caving
Yeah.
to like what people really want to do. You
Yeah.
know what? That's not what you're not a billboard.
Yeah.
You're not a shirt for somebody to walk around that they could buy, you know,
Sure.
2 for $20 at Target.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's something that you put pride in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if people want to follow you, they need to go to Instagram, Rydeas,
Yep.
RYDEAS, and then you're on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter. I think underscore Rydeas there.
Underscore Rydeas
Yeah.
there. Okay. And you know, this show is called Be a Voice. You know, we talk to everyday people doing everyday things that are, you know, just getting their voices out there. If I had to say to you, Ryan, in a few words, what do you want to tell the listeners to be a voice for? What would it be?
Oh wow. I would say just express yourself and don't be afraid to express yourself. I think however that is, and don't be afraid to fail, and don't be afraid of criticism. That's a lot of things, but I think that's that's pretty much it.
No, I love it. You know, I mean, people are so afraid to express themselves nowadays. People are afraid of failure.
Yeah.
I think people quit before they fail.
Absolutely.
Which is the worst thing to do.
Absolutely.
Give her a chance to fall and get back up.
Yeah, redefine what failure means to you too.
And I love that, redefine. And you have
Yeah.
done that in your life.
Absolutely.
From, you know, the hip hop to,
Yep.
you know, this has been amazing. This
Stepping
has been
stones,
so great.
you know?
Stepping stones. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, Ryan?
Oh man, I hope that I can be doing this full time. Whether it's
Yeah.
just like creating art on my own, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, or whether it's just more freelance clients, whether it's just like, I don't know. The dream is like you wake up and someone calls you and they're like, hey, we need you to consult. That's the dream.
But that's the reality.
Yeah.
That's what you want. And as you're saying it, I'm watching Dylan back there behind the glass shake his head yes, because he knows, you know, he's out there he's hustling just like you are.
Yes, yeah.
And it takes that hustle,
Mhm.
takes that attitude. You have a good attitude.
Thank you.
And what's best about it is people know because you wear your heart on your sleeve.
Awesome.
It's your art.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
So, no, this has been so amazing. I'm so glad that we are able to finally connect. It's been a long time coming.
It was fun.
It was. And I hope we can do this again for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I ever want to buy one of your pieces, can I buy them offline?
Absolutely, yeah.
Where would I get that?
Yeah, you can
On your website?
Yeah, if you just even on my website, and I do this thing too. Like if a post comes up and you're like, "Hey, I want a poster," DM me.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, people. You hear that out there? You want one of his pieces, you just DM him, check his website, check his Instagram, read the messages he has because they speak to me. And that's why I brought you in today, because
Awesome.
anybody who speaks to me through a social media platform, I want to speak to in person.
Yeah.
So thank you for taking the
Thank
time out
you.
of your day.
Appreciate
This
it.
is great. And I know Monica didn't want to be, visible or talk today, but Monica is here in the studio with us. And Monica, thank you so much for being his muse and letting him come in today, and for reminding him that it's been almost
Keeping me
13
on
years.
track. Keeping me on track.
And that speaks volumes about you two as people to be together for 13 years.
Yeah.
I mean, 13 months is a long time
Yeah.
nowadays.
That's
right. But, this is the part of the show where it's a little bit bumming for me because it's the end, and, I've had such a great time, and I really appreciate you sharing. So, but everybody out there, remember, whatever it is you stand for, be a voice. This is Britt Carpenter on USLA Radio. Have a great rest of your day.